on that and somewhere. And there we go. Awesome. He's hoping
it
this
doesn't
works.
have a red dot or anything.
Does at the front though.
Okay. So
Plus the screen thing like turns around, so like that's how I originally did it, but I was just like, I'm just gonna practice because I've got this one working anyway, so you know.
Cool.
Oh my god. What
I mean,
a
I know
week.
you're here and you're really anxious, and I'm like, wow, fancy.
I called, I reckon, more than half a dozen stores price matching that. The camera alone, without the tripod, is worth like $1,200. And I got the camera, the tripod, and 3 years complete replacement warranty for $1,106.
Why?
Because I'm really good at getting shit for cheaper.
Cool, because we need a new computer in the office.
I keep thinking, whenever you start doing Groove again, can I be the volunteer lived experience person? Because it's like, do a barter system with you. So, last week I remember you saying I was really anxious, and I was thinking I didn't feel it.
Was that only last week?
Yep. So I thought you might be surprised about why I wanted to speak to you again so fast.
I just sometimes go with the flow.
Yeah. So, I have realised that...
Also, they only told me this morning.
Oh, there you go. Because I called and I spoke to, not the one there, but the other one, and I was like, I need an appointment before this date. I need to speak to you, like, basically immediately about something.
Okay.
And it's because I have realised that I'm not coping nearly as well as I think I'm portraying that I am. And it hit me on, I didn't even make it out of the car park last week before it hit me that I had, speaking to you, that I'd forgotten to tell you the most important thing.
Okay.
Which is I feel better than ever, true, and I'm myself and everything's great, yada, 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 when I'm around people.
Okay.
As soon as I leave the vicinity of someone, whether it's you, a friend, whether it doesn't matter if it's a stranger, someone I know, on the phone, video, or in person, it's almost instantaneous, this overwhelming feeling of like I can't breathe, and I just go into these states, and I reckon they're getting worse, and I know it's because of this fucking diagnosis. And I've asked everyone I can think of. I put it out into the public, on like public forums, asking people, am I losing my mind? Because you and my doc and everybody else keeps telling me that having the diagnosis shouldn't have changed anything. And I'm telling you all now, it absolutely did. It's changed something. My mind feels like it's broken. It's just snapped.
Which diagnosis do you think is creating?
I know exactly which one. The ADHD one. Because I feel like I don't obviously understand hardly any of it. Like I'm aware of that. I don't fully grasp all of what's involved.
Yeah.
And the fact that I got to such a point where I was so happy with my mental health and my physical health and all of that stuff. And now it's like, and like I said, this is from strangers around the world, because I was crying my eyes out 2 nights ago, unable to function, like so close to start smashing shit, like so severe, like I tripped so bad that I had to put a fucking post up and be like, somebody please tell me what's happening. And I got all these responses saying it's almost like the diagnosis has like confirmed subconsciously or whatever it might be, that everything is going to be harder. Like everything is so much harder.
Yep.
And I don't know how to deal. I am becoming triggered at the top of a hat. The slightest thing sends me into, we're not talking I'm being angry anymore. I thought I had got past all the rage. I thought I'd dealt with all of that. I can tell you right now, I haven't.
Anger's always going to be there at times in your life. The issue is, hopefully, we're getting to the point where it's safer for you to express it.
I'll wait till you hear what I did to the cleaner. Yeah. It's not good. Twice now.
All right.
The shaking? I don't know why.
Show the kids at home.
What?
Show the kids at home the shakies.
Oh, yeah, it's like fucking trying to put the tea, the coffee and the sugar. It's going everywhere. Like,
I didn't put sugar in.
No, I made it at home and
yeah.
just trying to put it in.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is happening? And I have to keep sitting down in the bath and I'm shaking, and I'm like, I know it's not from lack of food, I know it's not from lack of this, and I don't know what any of it is.
Tip skill time.
Okay.
You've done it a million times. DBT specialist, go on. Okay, ready?
Ground, yeah.
So the deep breath in, and then lean over with this on your head. Here, take off your glasses. Step here.
Yeah.
Yep, and then hold like this. And now do deep breaths. Switch sides. A few more.
This is helpful.
Yeah. Shame you don't have an iWatch or whatever they're called on, because then you can see your heart rate go down. Okay, back of the neck if you need to, you know, it's a bit more serious.
I didn't know it was this bad until I went to make the coffee.
Yeah, dude.
Or
That was
actually,
going all over you.
I had to get a electric toothbrush, right? And
Squeezy, squeezy. Tight, tight, tight. Hold, 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 hold. Breathing at the same time.
I always forget that part.
Okay, and then when you're ready, shake it off like Taylor Swift. Okay, hands, hands, hands. Squeezy, squeezy, squeezy. Or either. Squeezy, squeezy, squeezy. Arms pull, 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 pull. Hold. Shake it off. Okay, check it. Just
Yeah,
like we're gonna play piano.
I do. I feel like my whole body's fucked. Hey.
Just be careful with your pain and stuff. Like, we don't want to make it worse. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Bit better?
Yeah.
Okay. It's there if you need it.
Yeah, I'm going to hold on to it actually. Thank you. It's weird, you know, because I had this lady and she was at my house, and I told her before I even came here, this is the absolute maximum amount of money I've got. Like, I'm on disability trying to pay for uni.
Yeah, you told her.
I've told
You were
her
very
that.
excited that she was coming last week.
Yeah, and I had told her the very specific things that I needed done, right? Now, my friend from uni who recommended her had already stated that she's a talker, right? So I can 100% tell you all.
She's a talker or you're a talker?
She is. So I have now met my mirror. And it's so much harder to deal with than I ever realised. So believe you me, I'm fucking seeing what I must be like. All right?
It's not again.
Anyway.
Okay.
So,
she's a talker. And then...
Yeah. So she arrived just before I came to you, and my appointment was at 11, right? And I told you I had to go and grab Boss and take him to the vet.
Yeah.
Yeah, which cost me a fucking arm and a leg. Hundreds of dollars, because they know what my dog means to me. Yeah, it's still, he's on antibiotics, had to have x-rays.
Grassy?
Nobody knows. They couldn't tell me definitively what it is. That's the problem. But they charge me $330 in the meantime.
Great.
Anyway, that was hard enough. Like, I burst into tears when I got in the car, and I'd already told her that I was going past to get a coffee from Macca's and asked if she wanted something, and I grabbed her that, so I still managed to do that. Needed to get dog roll for the medication. That's just a nightmare to try and feed him. Managing to do all of this while trying to keep my shit together. Once I'd managed this, I was full-blown mess by this point. Walked in the door. My house is in disarray. It is like 1,000 times worse than it was when I left, but the places she started were looking amazing, right? So I was like, okay, this is obviously just how she does it, right? Which I didn't fully understand.
I don't understand.
My mum was a house cleaner for my whole life, and actually I just found out she still has a job. She's like 70 doing one cleaning thing. And so it was very chaotic. Yeah, it was so chaotic. Like, I had hired her because I couldn't handle the mess, and when I walked in that door, it was 10 times worse. Now, she charges by the hour.
Mess, like taking things out?
Everything taking out. Yeah, there was stuff everywhere. So
to dusted.
I told her what I needed, and like everything like that. But she went above and beyond. No complaining at this point, because she cleaned things I wouldn't have even thought about. Plus, she unclogged my bathroom sink. So for the first, like Andrew had fixed it, my neighbour, but I still couldn't use it because it was clogged, and I tried the Mr. Muscle, I didn't know, and I just brain power not got enough, and I'd said to her, oh shit, sorry, I forgot it's blocked, if you can just make the sink look tidy, don't worry, there's, I don't have money to be paying you to do this shit, yeah? She did it all anyway. So grateful, I'm very grateful. I walked in the door when I was crying, she immediately stopped, hugged me, was like, we need to breathe, went through it all. She was wonderful. She's just like my mum, all right? Just like my mum, in the sense that it's okay for me to have diagnosed mental illnesses and take medication, whereas anybody of that age and above, she's 65, mum 70, whatnot, I know no one of those generations have mental illnesses, from what I continuously am being told, yeah? So anyway, I was a mess. I rolled a joint immediately. I was like, I don't care. I've just had to pay. Not only that, my vet's usually amazing, and it had not even been a week since I'd just been in there, but they charged me the consultation fee again. I couldn't believe, on top of everything else, they were charging me all this money, and they didn't even know what was wrong with him, And it's one thing after another. Anyway,
and
like
it's adding up and
yep.
Cumulative.
And like I've said to you, I know it doesn't make any sense to you, and I appreciate that. It's no disrespect to the professionals, but being diagnosed with this has made something snap. It has.
It goes one way or another, Liv. It's true. A lot of patients experience this. This is not news.
Good, because I feel like I've been batting my head against a wall, because I know you've said it a couple of times, so has the other people, and I'm just it does change stuff.
The symptoms don't change. And
the awareness.
The clusters, how it's communicated doesn't change. How it's communicated does change in that it becomes more formalized.
My self-awareness
and this is the thing. So when we consider your other diagnosis, all right, when we look at the BPD, we talk about the diagnosis, and the diagnosis has validated and almost made it understandable, because you don't kind of realize that this is something that other people experience, and this is what could be happening. ADHD is a very different thing. It's a medical diagnosis. It's a neurochemical imbalance. It's treated with medicine. It's a very different understanding.
And I don't understand. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And
have you made appointments to talk with your psychiatrist?
I have an appointment coming up, so I will be mentioning that to him. I still want the dyslexia screening. I don't know if you can do it. Everything I Google says that psychologists can do it.
Yeah, they do, but you have to have the tests and do adults.
I know for a fact I've got it.
Know someone.
It's more just that out of all the diagnoses I've got, and we both know, and all of you know, I've got so many of them, yeah? But like you just said, all the rest of them, actually it helped me learn to deal so much better, these two, and whether
it says, because there's an element of having to, with the BPD, there's an element of, you can accept this there, and you can manage with skills focus. You get skills, you can do the distress, like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is a distress tolerance skill that you're doing right now, beautifully, P.S. And
thank you.
But ADHD, this is a very controversial statement.
Mm-hmm.
True ADHD is treated with medical input, psychiatry input, with medicine. It's not like you can learn the skills and wish it away and get really good at it. Even if you master them, it's always going to be there.
I know.
And that's the problem, because then you feel like you're stuck. Now, here's the thing. The medication helps, strategies help, and whilst you will always have the imbalance and you will always have the diagnosis, it does not mean that you are stuck with the severity or the intensity or the significant impact on your functional decline, any of the other things. No impact on your cognitive state. So it can be managed and it can be improved, but it's not a cure.
Yet this problem comes, is the fact that everything you just said is right, except that the isolation I live with is closing my mind down. And I don't know how else to put it, because like I said, I feel like me. I feel like the units I have opened this, I'm currently in week 0. My results came out this morning. I slept until 1 today.
What's a week 0?
It means the pre-week before classes start on Monday. So before Monday, I'm supposed to have done all the pre-learning by next week, next week. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, yesterday, I just have to start at the beginning, I guess, to make this make any sense. So I got back, everything was fine. This woman was amazing. I was so happy,
Your stuff's everywhere,
everywhere. And she does talk, and I remember thinking, wow, this really must be like what everybody else has to deal with. And it really helped paint me a picture of what I must be like. When I've already got it in my head that I'm this selfish, self-absorbed, can't talk about anyone except myself, and I'm already dealing with the negative fucking bitch in my head, But on saying that, she was lovely, and I remember, because I've been talking about how much I want a real relationship with my mum for so long, knowing I'm never going to get one, and I'd been like putting it out to the universe, so to speak, because Mum and I are talking again superficially. Anyone who knows me for one day knows I hate superficial bullshit. I just don't see the point in it. Anyway, this woman, her real name is my nana's name, my actual nana's real name, who passed, my mum's mum. And then I was telling her about my stories and the channel and whatnot. And I was like, everybody gets a character name, yada, yada, yada. And she's like, will I be in your stories? And I was like, well, yeah, of course you will be. Like, you've been here all freaking day. Like, the house is in disarray. Like, it goes without saying. I was like, you're welcome to choose your own name, Without thinking, she says a name that, no word of a lie, is the actual, this isn't a made-up name, real name, that my mum uses. That's short for her name, right? Now, the abbreviation of Ellie can be short for a number of different names.
Sure.
But that's my mum's name. And this woman goes,
weird, she
Ellie.
has your nana name and your mom's name.
Well, to me, it was like, okay, fuck, universe is literally talking to me. I've been praying to be able to have some kind of real relationship. It's not going to be with my mum. Maybe this woman, like, she was so motherly. It was just like everything I needed, And everything seemed really good.
And then?
She just kept doing stuff that I hadn't asked for. And I had made it clear over and over and over again, I don't have any more money than this. Like, it does, regardless of how long you are here, because she does talk, and my friend had said that was the case. I was like, regardless of how long you were here for, that's the max amount of money I've got, right? Now, I realised, anyway, I wasn't doing well, because I was just becoming more and more and more overwhelmed the longer she was there. Now, I am a contradicting mess, for sure. I have finally worked out that there are so many shattered pieces of me that I literally, it is like, well, obviously I've got dissociative disorder, but I don't have multiple personality disorders. But my fucking God, do I have so many different versions of myself that I become someone I don't like. I become this person who is the opposite of everything I believe in. And when I'm around someone for too long, so I'd seen you, I'd been to the vet, I had to go to two shops, McDonald's, come home, she was there. It was this giant jam-packed emotional day, and I was becoming more and more and more overwhelmed by the lot of it. And she started, like, she was telling me about her family, and I kept thinking, this is bizarre, because the things with her kids are the same as us and my mom. Like, it's very obviously that there's this generational thing happening that I obviously again don't understand. I'm the first person to admit there's so much of this world I don't get, But she had been there for a while, and she kept looking at the clock, and the floor was atrocious. It was 10 times worse than what it was when I left. And I had said to her, the very most important thing out of absolutely everything is the floor, because the floor in my house, doesn't matter if the dusting's done, this, that, and everything else, if the floor is done, it instantly changes everything. I was so embarrassed that I vacuumed my kitchen before she even got there, because I was so embarrassed, yeah? And so it's now about 6 o'clock at night, and she's still there. The floor is parked, and she's looking at the clock, and she's talking about how she's got to go home to her kids, and using this flat mop that isn't picking anything up, and it not right, and she just keeps talking, and I'm just becoming overwhelmed and more anxious, and I'm like, I'm really sorry, I don't want to be rude, I know you've been here a long time, but I was very clear that I need my floors done, yeah? And she just kept sort of making me feel really guilty that she was still there, and it was like, you could have actually finished what I'd asked you to do within the 2 hours, because genuinely I didn't want to pay more than 2 hours. I'm a fucking uni student on disability. She charges $40 an hour, you know? But she did this amazing deep clean, and I was like, you know what? It's totally worth it. Yeah, I pay the 4 hours, totally worth it. I can keep it up to date. But once it got past 6 and she kept looking at the clock and kept making these remarks, I just got to this point where I think I just snapped. And I was like, first of all, I became really overwhelmed and went into like a panic attack. But almost instantly after, when we're talking within seconds of hitting panic attack level, it turned into rage. And I'm talking rage in a way that I haven't let anyone see in person in a long fucking time. It was rage, pure and simple. And I absolutely lost my fucking mind at her. I screamed every single obscenity you can think of, told her, I can't honestly remember, because when shit like that happens, it's like a different me kicks in, and I'm watching myself, yeah? The thing that was different was that she just stood there and took every bit of it, didn't say one word. I went to my couch to hug Boss, and by this point I'm messaging my uni friend saying, what the fuck, who the fuck, what the fuck. I'm just so angry. It's like pouring out of me in every fucking way. And then I start crying because I don't want to be that person, yeah? So I'm crying, and again, nothing's happening. She's just continuing on, doing what she needs to do, you know? So she just sort of ignores me, and I'm like, okay, well, she's still here, because I'd paid her by this point, and I figured, truth be told, she would have got up and left. Most people would, yeah? Anyway, after I don't even know how long, I got up, went and poured vodka, and obviously by this point I'd been vaping weed since I'd gotten home, yeah? And again, like the shaking shit, like it happens, I don't know what's going on, and I apologized to her. I explained to her why it had happened. I was like, I was very clear what I needed done. I said, you looking at that clock and making every single, you know how people hint instead of they just come out? Like I say to fucking everyone, to make everyone's life easier, I'm a literal person, don't hint to me. I'm not going to understand your fucking hints, but more than likely if something like miscommunication is clearly what gets me. Yeah. And it turns out I don't know how to fucking communicate. So anyway, we were able to have a conversation at this point. She explained to me that she was exactly like me, and that's why she didn't leave, because she knew it would only make everything worse, right? And she's like, I don't want to make your suffering worse. She goes, I know it wasn't you personally, it was like an accumulation of things that just happened. And she was like, me leaving you in that state would have made everything 1,000 times worse. And I was like, well, yeah, but you're like one of the only people I've ever met that actually understands that, you know? So I guess in a way that sort of even enhanced more to me, this woman's supposed to be in my life, right? Because I need someone. Anyway, in the end, and you can imagine how unbelievable, like shit I felt, she left my house in the most absolutely amazing fucking way ever. The floor was spotless. Everything was done. It was all good. And I kept saying to her, then why did you make it like if I truly believe anyone in my situation, having the first part of that conversation, would have agreed that she was trying to get out of it. She just wanted to go home because she'd been at mine for so long, you know? And I just kept, anyway. And obviously, once it was all finished, I was like, none of that had to happen. Obviously, it's my fault. I'm this horrible, bad person. And then it's like, she was like, no, it's fine. Everything's good. I'm not going to make it worse anyway. And we sort of became friendly, I guess, yeah? And, you know, she invited me to her house for lunch, and she made, like, I think it was like the following day or the day later, and she made me like this delicious thing that I'd been craving, like mushroom creamy pasta, and we had this wonderful afternoon together. And again, we just talked for hours. And again, I'm like, wow, because when you meet someone who's just like you, it's sort of like really stops you in your tracks, because for the first time in almost ever, I'm sitting across from someone who talks as much, if not possibly more than me, and I don't know anyone that has that capacity. You know, I talk, obviously, yeah? Look at what I do, yeah? And I'm just going, okay, this is my learned lesson in how to listen better, you know? And everything was good, and I asked her to wake me up a few times in the morning, because she was like, I wake up at 5, and I've been sleeping through my alarm so much, right, that it was freaking me the fuck out, because obviously I was supposed to have work on Saturday. Now, I'd asked her to, like I said, call me a couple times, and she had. We'd ended up talking each time fucking like 2 hours, yeah? For whatever reason, I didn't ask for the Saturday, because usually the one thing that makes sure I don't sleep through the alarm is knowing I have somewhere to be, i.e. a job. No clue what happened. I was meant to be there by 10. The next thing I knew, I rolled over in bed, and it was 9:20. And I was like, okay, shit. Now, I'd already said to my friend, I can't legally go to this shift until the paperwork is sorted, because I'm not insured. And I sure as shit cannot work not being insured. So in the end, that all sort of was just the way it went, because it couldn't be sorted. And in fact, it's only just been sorted as of today, funnily enough. But regardless, I felt, you know, like, okay. And there are days where shit like that happens, and I'm like, wasn't meant to go. It's just the way it was. Nothing didn't faze me in the slightest, yeah? Whereas yesterday, right, I think I may have mentioned a uni friend that I've become friends with, who has the horses, who lives like, you know, 40 minutes away or so. Yeah, because we talked about the horses last week with the feeding. Anyway, we had plans to catch up yesterday for weeks. Yeah, weeks. And I was so excited. And I really wanted to be there before she went to feed the horses, right?
Because then you get to feed them and pat them.
Exactly. I mean, I love horses. Anyway, I knew, and again, like I keep saying, it's usually only an issue when I have to get up to study and not leave my house that I have the alarm issues. When I have actual plans, I'm okay. But I was nervous about sleeping in because of how I was like a child. I was so excited. Just wanted to get there and see my friend who I hadn't met in person, give her a big hug, tell her how fucking amazing she is for helping me. I got 77, by the way, distinction this morning. Fucking woke up to the message going, your results for trimester fucking 3 are 77. And I was just like, well, whatever. And I just didn't even care. There was just like nothing to it. And I'm just like, meh. I know. This is where I'm at, right? So yesterday, though, she'd called me. I'd sent her a message the night before saying, hey, look, as long as it doesn't bother you, because I don't want to put anyone else out, obviously. I'm like, it'll be fucking cold by now, surely.
No.
And then I'm like, if you're awake, because, you know, she told me she's awake by 5 every day. I was like, do you mind giving me a call? I was like, I'm going to bed early. It was like 8:30. I've been such a nana. I was like, I'm going to bed early, but I'm so excited about seeing my friend. I really want to get up at a decent time, sort of, you know, like we're headed in the opposite direction of traffic. So that was cool, blah, blah, blah. But I had made it real clear in the text message, I won't be able to talk for a long time, right? And somewhere along the line in my life, don't know where, don't know why, whatever the fuck, my ability to say shit and not worry about, like, say, potentially hurting the next person's feelings, even though doing it in the right way, Virgo, really should have told her on the phone yesterday, thank you so much, I really appreciate it, I'll talk to you later. But when she just started going, I just was like, okay, in my head I'm going, I will listen to her because people listen to me. And I guess because I'd been reversing it this whole week, yeah, going, okay, you are so much like me and people are always so nice to me, yeah, and I couldn't figure out a way to politely end the call. As dumb as that sounds, I couldn't do it. I couldn't figure it out, and I just was becoming more and more sort of, again, overwhelmed because the time is clicking on and I want to get ready and go. And if that wasn't bad enough, it's getting worse. And I will warn you, just so we're aware, this is a real life psychology session. There is potentially, well, there's content warning, suicide and self-harm's coming up. So I've got to do the right thing. Anyway, so she starts talking about Trump. As in Donald Trump.
Oh, God, yeah.
Exactly. And then not only does she start talking about Donald Trump, she starts telling me how fucking amazing he is, how wonderful he is, how all the beautiful praises fucking...
Here, like, I just need to go to
And I'm
courses.
like, could you please stop? I was like, I don't want to be talking about Trump at all, let alone hearing the fucking praises about this disgusting man who should be in prison. Yeah, and she just kept saying, oh no, that's your opinion. Then she starts with see, the thing with people like you is you rely on the wrong information, whereas I have done all of my research, blah, 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 and she just kept going and kept going and kept going to the point where I was like, I've had a fucking enough. Yeah? I do not want to talk about this man. I do not want this. I have to go goodbye. And I hung up the phone at this point, yeah? I fucking was fuming. Right? I was so fucking angry. Then she sends me a message. And the message is, and this whole time on the phone, mind you, she's telling me how she hates people that preach. And yet she's preaching to me about how amazing fucking Donald Trump is. Oh, and that's right, I'm a fucking idiot because I listen to the fake news. Well, she does her research. What? You know what I mean? What? Anyway. Then it starts via the messaging and she's going, oh, it's okay, settle petal, no need to get upset and let this, you know, and I'm just like, stop, just stop, yeah? And then she's like, oh, it's just a silly little debate, no need to let it ruin your day, don't worry, I don't hold it against you because you don't like him. And I'm thinking, well, I fucking bloody hold it against you, mate, because if you're actually praising this man the way you are, your morals and ethics are a bit fucking fucked as far as I'm concerned. You know, yes, I'm a judgmental person. I am owning that. Trump is a fucking... See you next Tuesday, yeah? All right? And the only reason I'm spelling it is because I'm being polite for you.
Thanks.
But I couldn't believe it. But she became so patronising. And by this point, I'm a crying fucking mess, unable to do anything, trying every single opposite action I flip and know to rise above this.
I will say, whilst there are things about it, as much as the invalidating, patronizing, difficult conversation went, it is true that it didn't have to ruin your day.
No shit. That's why I'm in therapy.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm at, right? And I'm trying everything I can. Yeah, because I know it doesn't need to ruin my day. I can see in my head the sliding doors options.
Yeah.
I can see them.
You can see it's raining, but the sun will come out later.
Yeah. Now I tried. And this is whether I am struggling, I am stuck, I'm not coping with the isolation because I couldn't pull myself out of it, and I tried and I tried and I tried.
So the thing about skills is you can implement the skills, and skills can fail, and then you can try new skills, and then those skills can fail, and then you can reach out to get advice and support about other skills, and when it comes down to it, external validation and supports.
So I'd message the ADHD people, yeah,
Oh, good. Yeah.
and I'd message the person who
Sorry.
does the blogging side of it, because the tutor that I have has already said that he can include tutoring and ADHD stuff combined, and I'm
Yeah, it's like a
awesome,
dream,
but
yeah.
well, yes and no, because I need the tutoring for the tutoring.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I want
You need the
actual
both.
ADHD coaching,
You need
and
both.
I really feel like I need some hardcore ADHD coaching, because what happened yesterday, and I'm sure you can imagine, my followers already know, let's face it, yeah, did not see my friend. I cancelled everything. I went straight back to bed. Thankfully, my friend had reminded me a week or so ago that I have a weighted blanket. I used my weighted blanket. I cried, I snoozed, I vaped weed. I even had an orgasm at one point, which was interesting. I don't know how that came out, but you know, random shit in my head. And then it
releases a lot of endorphins.
yeah, not enough to get me out of bed though, unfortunately. I mean, it helped, don't get me wrong. I kept smoking, but then it was like my whole day was fucked. I spent all of yesterday writing blogs, and I've now obviously only took how many fucking days, a year and a bit, to realise that this legitimately is my very personal, very public online diary. That's what it is. So I now understand the difference of who to share and who not to share with. This woman, I did not share, thankfully, and nor will I be. Whereas people like the student dentist couldn't care less if they have my sites. You know, I see the students because they're cool, and I was there on Tuesday. Another thing, I cried in the shower, sitting on the bathtub for so long, just cried and cried and cried before I could even get up and go to my dentist appointment. Like today, I was so I couldn't stop crying that I almost run to make this a telehealth appointment because I was in such a state of, and then thankfully today I was able to put the skills to use and be like, okay, I've spoken to my friend, I know I've got a shift on Saturday, I know I've got shit to do before classes. If I don't get out of my house and get to here, I know I'm going to keep spiraling. And I was really badly spiraling
So
by this
here's
point.
your circuit breaker. When are you going to see the horses? You need to reschedule that.
Yeah, I know. I've spoken to her today. We will do that.
Okay. Let's not make this in 8, 9, 10 weeks. Let's reschedule this. Prioritize it.
I'm going to, because
You're better at all the other things when you also do the things that you enjoy.
I know.
It's a weird situation where even though you're busier, you're actually more productive because you're getting stimulus and varied, you know.
Well, I think I realised that on Tuesday, because once I got back from the dentist, I realised if I just keep the momentum going and I don't stop, that seems to be where I go wrong. If I stop for a break, or I stop to hug boss, or I stop and lie down and read something on Reddit, then I'm fucked. I'm done for the day.
Tell me about the trigger warning.
So yesterday, I cried so much. The suicidal, nothing makes any sense anymore. It's like the better I feel in general, the worse I feel on days like yesterday. And yesterday got so severe that I was holding my knife in my hand. And
In the shower?
no, just on my bed, just holding it, seeing, playing with fate, if you might want to call it. Not good, not healthy whatsoever, But the suicidal thoughts, they come flying back. And not only do they come flying back, they come a billion times worse.
Yeah.
And then I end up in this state where I'm like, I gave up fucking doing whatever the fuck I wanted, yeah, because I have this faith in humanity that's bigger than me. None of this stuff started because I wanted to be only a better person. I see things so fucking differently from everyone, and I know it's for a reason.
So, yes. And what I'm going to say is this is also this is a really common phenomenon, okay? You have been doing exceptionally well when it comes to your psychological illness, okay? When we talk about your depression, we talk about the anxiety, we talk about the BPD, we talk about these things. You have a significant grasp of who you are, and despite sometimes getting sidetracked by the TV, the thoughts in the background spitting things out to you, and sometimes you get distracted and watch it, like I get it, that's the ADHD and normal life. Normal life, that happens to everyone, okay? You have skills, you can master them, you utilize them, you can sit with distress, you manage exceptionally well. And then as things progressively have improved for you, eventually we get to the point where we have to figure out how it is to not have these things happen. And that in itself often triggers distress and an exacerbation of suicidal thoughts and a minimum of self-harm. We know that this is what happens for people. As people get better at being, quote, better.
Yeah, that's literally the word I used in one of my blogs yesterday.
We always go back. And then once you go back, or the thoughts become intense, then it's almost like your brain's trying to tell you you're never going to get through this.
That's exactly what it's telling me.
Imagine that you're on the bus. You've got the monsters on the bus analogy. We've done this before. Maybe not before the camera, but anyway, you're driving the bus. The monsters are telling you where to go. They're screaming at you to turn left, and you're going straight, and you're like, I know where I want to go. I'm going here, and I'm going this direction. They're wrong. They're wrong. And you've gone past the left turn, and then they're screaming at you to do it, okay? And then you're almost there. You're almost where you want to go. You're well on the way. And then the monsters are like, they'll try again. They're like, F you. This is where you want to go. This is what you have to do. And they start again. It's a cycle. It's a wave. Now, you're still in control of it, but your brain is not going to let you go quietly into the night.
So that's exactly it, because yesterday when they all come flying back, yeah, I think it's
better.
It's not as bad.
It's not. Well, you've got a lot of cortisol happening right now. Give yourself a break. But yes, that's quite good for where you're at and how many coffees you've probably had.
That's my second one. No,
Ooh.
My third one, and I didn't even finish it.
Okay.
But that's the thing. It's the being stuck, because
it will go.
Oh.
So here's the
Do you
thing.
really think so? Because
Yeah.
my biggest fear these days
what
is
happens,
this is for life.
What happens when you kick the monsters off your bus? Now, don't get me wrong, Liv. Like, this is the truth, yeah?
I'd hope so.
Sometimes everybody has a monster.
Well, yeah, I know that. That's why I want to help as many people as I can.
But it does not, and there are times that we get distracted by the monster. And let's imagine that you get distracted by a monster, you start full conversations with them sometimes. You get very invested in the monster.
I've got a lot.
Yeah. And sometimes they talk about interesting things, and sometimes you have debates with them, and sometimes you try to avoid them, and they chase you around, and then you're running. But what you're not doing is just ignoring them and living your life.
Because people keep saying the same thing to me, and it's gotten to the point where I reckon I'm looking at private health insurance, because I actually am at the point where I want to be in a hospital. I don't understand what the fuck is happening. And it's like the same sentence keeps getting said to me over and over again. If people don't agree with you, you flip out and lose your mind, or you have a meltdown. If one more person says that to me, I don't know what I'm going to do, because it's not the case. I don't agree with almost anyone on anything in this fucked up planet.
I know. If you had a freak out with everyone who ever disagreed with you, then...
She's trying to tell me things
Who's
like...
she?
this woman,
Cleaner
let's say
lady.
Ellie, so who's telling me, you know, that maybe my mother and I's issues are because I can't accept motherly criticism or concern.
I'm
and
gonna
just
say
like,
something which is a little bit out on the limb, but here we go. Liv, do you think that you're, now I don't want to be dismissive.
no,
and this
of
is
course
a
I'm not the
this
only
is a-
one with issues with family.
No, this is a dismissive sentence out loud. I just don't know how else to phrase it. So,
Go on.
okay. Do you think that you're more sensitive to this lady because of the mirror of your mother?
Fucking
Like, do
A.
you think
The
it's
mirror of me too.
do you think it's really the cleaner? Or do you think it's really all of your pent up anger and rage at your family? Like,
Never thought of that.
it's not what she's doing or what she's saying or the disagreement or the whatever. That's not the point. Like, she could have been an angel, and because of the frustration and your lack of ability to have a genuine and real conversation with your mom for numerous reasons, not
I know.
not all of which we need to go into, but
Yeah, I hadn't thought of
you're
that.
kind of projecting the issues from mom onto this cleanie lady.
Hadn't thought of that.
But,
Yeah, that wasn't dismissive, I don't think.
well, I kind of said, you're a little bit sensitive.
I'm a
It's
lot
little-
sensitive.
That was a little
That's
bit
not
sensitive.
even a little bit out of context. I am probably one of the most sensitive people I know.
Right now, because we know that BPD, like, sometimes when things are really stressful, it's like you have the burn and then you're going outside in the sun. Like, it hurts. It hurts more. Now, people who don't have sunburn don't get it.
Yesterday, things like all I could hear was, why am I bothering? There are 3 more degrees that I truly want to do and think will make such a big difference, and then there's the other side of me that goes, fuck everyone. I don't owe no one shit.
No.
I'm going to go and live in a very, very remote cabin somewhere in the woods without any kind of technology, shut everybody the fuck off, and disappear.
Grow your own carrots and have solar power with a generator so you don't have to do anything. I know a lot of
But
people
do
who
you
go off
hear
grid.
what
I know.
I didn't quit ice to go and do that.
No, I know.
Okay, I'll be smoking ice, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm just beyond frustrated. I actually did want to talk to you about the hospital care because I have looked into it.
I don't think that.
I personally think I need and want top private health insurance with the extras because I need to be able to use the remedial massage, the chiropractor, the
yeah.
physio, the optical,
I'm pro health
dentist.
insurance.
But I also,
But private health insurance is not really how it works.
I've had it before. I had it for 10 years with NIB. They're the people I want to go back to.
So the private health insurance issue that we have when it comes to psychiatric conditions is that the doctors have to refer you in. Yeah, so you're private, your GP, you're a psychiatrist, they can refer you in.
You can't?
No, it has to be
Why?
a medical doctor prescriber. I know. We can call, we can ask, all those things, but without a medical doctor provider number at the bottom, they say, oh, thanks for your input. And that's all. So I can't refer in. So but the doctors could. There's no issue with that. The issue is that once you're there, there's often a different psychiatrist who manages your care while you're inpatient.
Yeah, I've been an inpatient twice, so I'm aware of how it works.
And then they don't usually agree with the reasons why people go into hospital. In this area, it often is the case that they're like, well, we don't really think this is useful. Bye. And it would be
That's why I wanted to talk to you, because I don't know what to do anymore.
they are, and to be honest, they keep moving the goalposts. You'd have to, and if that's something you want to do, I would strongly recommend having your psychiatrist refer you to someone who your psychiatrist knows and trusts, who has admitting rights. So
I'm way too scared to do anything with the public system.
So if your psychiatrist has a buddy, or is one, has a buddy who has admitting rights to, say, a hospital, insert private hospital here, whichever one it is, there's hundreds of them across Australia, right? Then you can know that your doctor is referring you to a doctor that you can get to know.
I don't even know my psychiatrist. I don't even know how to say or pronounce his fucking name.
Well,
He's solely who he is because all of you guys said I needed to get this fucking diagnosis, and he's the one I could get the fucking referral for.
And the prescriptions.
Exactly.
Yes. Because
So now
there
I
are
just
none.
have more questions and we're out of time. I don't know. She's ringing me back.
Who?
Like the insurance people. I
Okay.
went through the whole compared thing. I was like, that's a nightmare and a half. I knew how good
Ask.
NIB were.
Ask intake. I will give you the number for.
Yeah.
And ask intake. They can give you the answers. They can discuss what happens, and they'll know the doctors that work there and what their interests are. But from my experience, often when my clients are in psychological distress based on isolation, or often, to be honest with you, eating as well, like they just don't touch it, they don't engage well in the process because it would be that we would need to explore probably other hospitals then.
Yeah. See, that's why I wanted to ask you, because I'm just so lost and I'm so confused, and it's already like, if I go with the one I've looked at, which is the top cover, with the same company I already looked at, and like I said, I've done a lot of compare stuff, but
good.
they are amazing.
They are very good.
It's going to be like $300 a month, more, yeah, 290 something a month, which with the rent I pay, I can manage. I'd already have to pay, it's an entire year before I can even use psychiatric care because of the pre-existings. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do, because technically I feel better than ever. I'm not at harm of harming anyone else. I don't think about harming myself. But
I believe that it's more, probably, I think that the psychological aspects, the BPD, the depression and stuff, I think that the BPD and the change and stuff is probably fueling part of this.
The rage has come back. I
Fueling
can't be raging.
And I think that this is an element of sabotaging success. And I think that the cleaner, I'm going to say a couple things about the cleaner. I think the cleaner is more mom than anything else. And I think that we need to.
I feel bad for her. Like, I'm pretty fucking nasty when people piss me off.
I am going to just ask you one question about the cleaner. Why do you want her to wake you up? Like, this is a very new relationship.
Because she said you got up at 5. I don't really care. The thing is, she had no idea anything was wrong. Sent me another message at 7 p.m. last night asking me something, and I was like, I don't even really want to talk to you right now.
You haven't had the discussion about the Trump crazy.
Yeah, that was yesterday morning where I hung up on her.
Yeah,
but she didn't know that I didn't go to my friends, didn't do this, didn't do anything else.
That thing just flashed.
I don't know. It's still got a red light on it. I got no idea. That's why it's filming on both. Okay. But I guess, like, she thought we were fine, and I was like, I haven't made it to my friends. I've cancelled everything. I've been in bed all day. And she's like, I don't understand what's happening. Like, why has a conversation about someone who doesn't really affect us either way caused this? And I was like, because all you had to do was stop when I asked you to stop.
Because it's like your mother has just invalidated your whole life again, as has occurred previously. It's nothing to do with Trump, and it's nothing to do with the cleaner. This is because it mimics your experience of life as a teenager.
So now what do I do?
We have to resolve the stuff from the teenage years.
Right, which to me says I need much more psychiatric care.
They don't do it inpatient.
Even if I got it, can't I get it, like, can't I use it with you?
Actually, sometimes, maybe you could find somebody who would do an EMDR stuff
I don't even know what that means, but if you can maybe get them to write it down, because I'm very confused.
I mean, the inpatient stuff would be, you could use. Anyway, but yes, we will work on it. Okay.
So should I just put it off until we figure it out? Because obviously these waiting lists are going to keep waiting until I start.
I'm going to give you the number for, and ask at intake what they think. Say, these are the types of things that I would want as goals of an admission. What is that something you do? Because there's 2 or 3, and I can give you a couple of them that I know well and have psychiatry links to, and ask them if that's something they do, because I'm not sure that. Yeah. But maybe
I know that the one I've been to, I don't want to go to again, just simply because of bullshit. But
stuff, yeah. So yes, but I think also the mom stuff is gonna. I think it's just that it's been too close, and it's, you know, the mom things haven't, because you've had such distance. It's never really resolved, and then because now you're talking, and then this seemingly kismet situation with the names, it feels
Not only
very...
that, but she, you know how like the whole dog person I told you I met and I fucked it up? I did, and she was like, we've just met. She's like, you need to remember this was the first day on Monday. She's like, we've just met, you don't know me. She's like, this is more of a professional setting. She goes, I would like to be friends. Everything that I needed was in this woman, and I fucking lost it. Twice. 3 times, actually,
Because,
when
well,
I start counting.
Because it's a new relationship for you in that situation. The dynamic is not a new one.
My friend told me to remember she's got acquired brain injuries. I probably really need to remember that because I had actually forgotten.
Who has?
The cleaner.
Okay.
But I know, I don't know. Do I put off health insurance until I've dealt with all this? Come and see you next week,
I would. A week is not neither here nor there.
I know.
And
but $300 a month is if it's not going to work.
Exactly. Ask the questions from intake for a couple of places and then determine.
Yep. Cool. Okay. I'm going to turn these off.